And 15 years ago, if you had asked me if coaching was something that I wanted to do, like as a kid or so, I would say no. Like, who is going to listen to somebody? I'm not that kind of a person. Like, that is who I thought I was.
Yeah.
But then for me, what came out of this whole transformation is presence, consciousness. And I love to get other people present. And I love to be present no matter what I do.
Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. Okay, so you guys, I am stoked for your ears to hear this. First of all, you're just going to love her voice. I found myself just mesmerized and like taking it all in. But our guest today is Sunitha Sandeep. She's a TEDx speaker. She's a transformational life coach, and she truly uses all of the tools that we have around energetics and somatics and more than just that to help everybody understand kind of like why they're doing all the things. Like, hello, where are my overachievers at? Why are you doing that? And we went into a variety of topics, but first of all, get your notepads out because there's a couple questions she throws out there that I want you to save for when you are in a space where you're just like, oh my God, everything is too much, because it can really explain where your work needs to be. And also we dove into passion and purpose. And as someone who, my scope is not therapy, right? But as a business coach and as a Pilates instructor and a breath and habits coach, something that like I've always been stuck on a little bit is how to help people with this one area. And she puts it together in such an amazing package that I'm so excited for you to hear this. I will be sending people that part of the episode all the time. I'll be like, go listen to this part of the episode, go now. Because it's just so informative, beautiful, and while simple, complicated to do if you are not facing the stuff that comes before it. So all of that is going to be here in this episode. I'm excited for you to hear this. I really cannot wait to hear your takeaways. You know, it's so important to me. And hopefully you enjoy the takeaways that Brad and I have. I really am already excited to do the recap episode with Brad about this because I think it's going to reveal a lot about why you do what you do. So here is Sunitha Sandeep. All right, Be It Babe. Hello, welcome back. I am so thrilled to have a conversation with today's guest. When I came across what she does and how she moves in this world and the things that she talks about, I was like, oh, we must have this person on. I love anytime we have a TEDx speaker or someone who can talk about mindfulness and trauma and somatics, because it's something that I don't think there's enough information about. We've talked about somatics before, but it's becoming more and more needed. I think it's probably always been needed, but more and more accessible. So Sunitha Sandeep, thank you for being our guest today. Can you tell everyone who you are and what you're rocking at?
Yeah, thank you so much, Lesley, for having me here. And it's wonderful to see what you're doing, especially spreading awareness on the big topics of trauma, mindfulness, somatic healing. And that's exactly what I do. I'm a transformative coach, and I help high functioning women who are going through a lot of inner struggles of whether it's stress, anxiety, burnout. And then again, burnout can have a lot of causes, hidden traumas, conditioning, and take them through a process of both mental healing, emotional healing, somatic healing, a little bit more into the energetics and also into the consciousness level, so that they can have a higher professional impact, but with deep personal fulfillment. What I do.
Okay. Obsessed. And also like, you must have lived 9 lives to have all this expertise and get into what you're doing. But part of me, my curiosity went to like, with these high functioning, like these high, almost like overachiever women,
Yes.
do you find that after they work with you, that changes how they engage? Like, are they, you know what I mean? Because I'm thinking about the type of woman who like has these jobs, who is going into burnout for a variety of reasons. It could be from like they overwork themselves to prove that they're
Yes.
worthy, or they're avoiding dealing with the trauma they have. Do you find that it changes them in a way of how they actually show up in their workplace?
Completely, completely. They will still, some of them even still get promoted. However, whatever they do becomes more with ease, a little bit more
Mm.
effortlessness, because you see, there's something that is in within has changed. So the outer environment usually doesn't change, or it changes for the better, but then the inner environment has changed, and some of them even add on more to what they were doing along with their job. They now start getting into more into their passion, their hobbies, and then they come up with other purposes that they feel a little bit more inclined to, more coming from the heart. And some of them say, like, executiveness is executive job is something that I really drives me and I want to go further. And some of them will be like, I'm fine with the job that I'm doing, and I want to give a little bit more importance to my family, and I want to spend more time with my kids. So it's all very different, and it's very unique to each person. But I think from the end results, what I see is they'll continue to do what they want to do and even more, but with kind of an ease and effortlessness. And that's the aim of my whole program, in
Yeah.
ease within.
I actually love that word ease. It's something I remember years ago because I was working for another company and I couldn't stop saying yes to promotions. Like, it was a definite problem. They're like, "Here, you're being promoted." I'm like, "Thank you." And I like hated the first job. So I don't know why I thought I would like the next
Later,
one.
the first job.
And
That's
it's so
funny.
funny because I did it in the job previously and I quit that job. Got another one. I was like, "I'm not going to take a promotion." The next week they're like, "We'd like to promote you to this." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't
Oh
know how to
my
say
God.
no." So like here I am, just like because there was that overachiever in me, like that
Yes.
person who was raised at like straight A's, like, "Oh my gosh, you're getting a promotion, like that's such a great thing." Like, and not
Yeah,
it was never like taught like maybe you should see if you want the promotion. Maybe you should
exactly.
evaluate.
Right. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was overachieving in this job that I didn't actually enjoy. And I was trying to make something else for myself work. And I was in these like two conflicts. And I remember the word ease being like, I just wish it was easy. I just wish there was ease around this. And it took me the longest journey to figure out like, well, you can't have ease the way you're doing things. You have to do something different. You can't.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I wish I learned
That
it
is true.
faster. But what are some ways that you explore with people how to bring ease into their life? I mean, it's not really a light switch because if there's a driving reason for them to not to do something a certain way, like just put it on the ease button doesn't exactly fix anything.
Yeah, it's not a direct switch, like as you said. It's not like, taking this belief structure that I'm struggling with everything within, and then, okay, let me start doing everything easily. It's a kind of an inner ease that happens because you first try to understand yourself at the mental level. Like, as you said, overachieving comes with a lot of perfectionism, comes with a lot of people pleasing, comes with a lot of wanting appreciation and recognition, because that literally drives our feel. That's the driving the motivation behind everything. And and then just understanding where those things started coming from,
Mhm.
why those things started happening. Growing up as kids, like any overachiever kid, it's like, oh, I got straight A's. It's like, oh, you're great. Like, you're such a good girl. You're like doing amazing. You're really smart. Oh, she's such a perfect girl, and she doesn't cause any issues. You see, these kind of words, what they do is they build an identity over you. Then you, no matter what, whether you enjoy or not, whether it's a struggle for you within or not, you try to keep up to the identity, because that's all you know. That is your identity. And now what happens is, like as you said, you were not enjoying, but then you were getting things done, and you will continue to get things done. But the from the inner side of it, you're completely unfulfilled. You're not just happy. It's not happening effortlessly. There's more pressure, there's more stress. Eventually, if this continues for a longer time, it's going to cause you burnout. And then the burnout is not just like a physical exhaustion or so on. It's not like an overloaded doing so many things. It's a kind of soul burnout that we go through,
Mm.
which is kind of like, I just don't see the meaning in this. Like, it's not keeping your soul alive. And
Mhm.
that is the kind of burnout that I'm really concerned about. And if you don't address that, it can go into many deep pitfalls and cul-de-sacs and vicious cycle and the spiral downward kind of a spiral. And it can literally affect the overall life of a woman, with her partner, with her kids, with who she is as a person, even in her corporate world or any kind of a job that she's doing. It literally has impacts everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, you're the first person to actually talk about that as a soul burnout because we coach a lot of people and they're like, well, I took a vacation and I'm still burnt out.
Yeah,
It didn't help. And it's like, yeah, because the burnout isn't because you're overworking yourself. It's because of you're not in your purpose and the things that you're doing on a daily basis are not actually
yeah,
aligned
yeah,
with, how you like the person
yeah.
you want to be. Like they're on your soul level, your soul knows your incongruency there.
Incongruency. And usually, when somebody says that, I ask them, are you overloaded or are you overwhelmed? Because there's major difference between overloading and getting overwhelmed. If you want
Mm.
to take a break, like if you just want to take a sabbatical, go on a vacation, it helps if you're overloaded, meaning you're trying to accommodate too many things within your span of 16 hours of your waking time. That's overloaded. But then overwhelming is something that's going on within. And it doesn't matter whether you're working or whether you're with your kids or whether you're just being with yourself. You can be overwhelmed all the time. You can be overwhelmed even in a vacation. It's like, oh, I'm going to visit this vacation place. These are the 10 things that I need to do one after the other. Like, like let's go finish
Mm.
seeing this particular place. Let's do this restaurant, and this is what we need to check out. You can still get into that mode. And that's again, it might feel like it's aligned and I really wanted to do this. I wanted to explore this vacation place. But again, the way you do it from an internal process is just causing more overwhelm. And again, it
Mm.
falls back to that particular identity that you carry. I need to get things done. I need to finish certain things. It's like a to-do list that I need to check it off.
Yeah.
Uh, and
Yeah.
you carry it wherever you go. That's
Yeah. Okay. This is cool. I really like how you broke that down because I can actually imagine a time in the past where I was overwhelmed versus overloaded. And now it makes me understand like, oh, that's why that vacation was fine and that's why this one wasn't. That's why,
yeah,
And so it's definitely what a great question to ask yourself. Write that down, everyone. Am I overloaded or am I overwhelmed? Love that.
yeah,
Okay. So um here's, we have a lot of women who listen. I call myself a recovering perfectionist and overachiever because to be recovered feels a little perfectionisty. Right?
yeah.
So we're just in process all the time.
Recovering, it's a process.
Yeah. So
Beautiful.
but one of the things that this podcast exists for is for that perfectionist overachiever. So they could take messy action, so they could stop waiting until things are like aligned and everything is perfect. So they stop overwhelming themselves to be the person they want to be in this world. So I wanted to have you on because I really do love the topic that you're talking about as a transformational coach and the way you help people. But I guess like my question where I feel the pushback of a listener is this: well, I
Yeah.
can't just stop everything. like,
You
like,
can, yeah. Yeah, you can stop everything. That'll definitely help. You can stop everything, but then you don't want to stop everything. See, that's where it is. If you can stop, and if our lifestyle is such that we can just go live in a cave, if that works for you, there are a lot of people who have done that. But then
mm-hmm,
the problem is we don't want that way. We want to experience life with our kids. We want to have fun with our kids. We want to experience our life with our spouses. And we want to build our business. We want to make that impact to others. We want to work really well in a corporate environment and then really bring that impact to others. We want all of those things, right?
mm-hmm,
That's what our soul is kind of craving also. And it doesn't mean exactly that this is the way I want it to. It's working as a professional doesn't mean I need to hit this particular ladder, like these particular steps by this time, and this is the money that I need. See, then it becomes overwhelming. Instead,
mm,
it's like, okay, what is it that I can give? What is it that I can give? And I can still be present no matter what I'm doing. And then that will literally take you where you need to go.
mm,
So if it's possible for you to stop, try it out and see. It's likely that it is not possible. We think that in that situation when we are going through so much overwhelm, it's like I just want to stop. That's what we feel like. But the stopping is not the external activity. The stopping is more internally. And that's the shift that we need to learn.
Yeah. How do we do that?
How do we do that? It's a multiple step process. It's not a quick fix as just going for meditation, just going for some yoga practice, or just going to the gym, or taking a stroll in the like going for a hike or anything like that. You'll have to go down to the level to your root causes. One, as we mentioned, just understanding your archetypal personality types of people pleaser, perfectionism, overachiever, and understanding why you do that. Why do you
Mhm.
really have to overachieve? Over recognition, success addicts. I call a lot of my women as success addicts. They're literally addicted. Why do you need that? Because that's the way for them to meet themselves. They work, they achieve something, kind of get a relief, and then they find themselves. That's the only way that they have become close to themselves, that they know of themselves. So naturally, you'll keep doing certain things because you want to feel yourself, you want to be close to yourself, you want to feel intimate with yourself. But then the journey is first to understand those kinds of patterns that we are doing, both at the mental level, at the emotional level, and at a somatic level, because a lot of things are stored inside our bodies. Our mind can be tricked to like, affirm something 100 times and say, this is good, or so, but our bodies cannot be tricked into it. We can
Mm.
trick our mind to do a lot of positive thinking, but the body is not going to listen to that. That's why we often see like, so I know what I need to do, but I just feel stuck. And I don't know how to just break that barrier and then go do what I want to do.
Yeah.
So all different layers have to be worked out. And then once the environment is clean and neutral, because we should not be building anything over the environment that is already carrying so much conditioning and so much negativity or so much trauma. A little bit of clarification of that and a little bit of neutralizing will give you a little bit better foundation to build your next life.
Mm.
And the other important aspect is when somebody comes to me for the first 1 or 2 sessions, I ask them, what do you want? And then when I ask them what do they want in like the few final sessions, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Because what you want was coming more from your conditioned way. What I wanted is what probably my mother wanted, or what probably the society thought that I would be successful if I had this. And it's not
Yeah.
coming from a deeper place.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, once you're clear, there's nothing blocking you from accessing your deeper place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm picturing, like, different people that we've worked with or in our communities or even, like, just and
Yeah.
myself, and it is really interesting, like, if you, like, ask people, like, why they do what they do.
Yeah.
So many of them can't get past that surface level. "Oh, I wanna help people." "Why do you wanna help people?" And
Yeah.
they're stuck there, and that's, like that to me is, like I'm like, "Oh, there's some work there," because part of what they wanna do is what sounds good or what they've been told they should do or what
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be from their parents, it can even be from the industry that they're in, like, "Oh, or we're all here to help people." But really, like, if you can get past that layer to, like, as you said, people the first 2 sessions, they say this, but by the time we've moved on, what they really want, they can articulate in such a different way, and it might not look anything like it, but they finally got to get
Exactly.
into that.
Yeah.
So, you said you do that with, like, energetics and somatics and different things, like, what does that look like? And also for those people who don't might not know what energetics or somatics is, can you just explain that a little bit?
Yeah. So I teach a program called as the Awake, A.W.A.K.E, and it's an acronym for 5 separate transformational shifts that they get. A stands for awareness, and then W stands for within. Within is a phase or a transformative phase wherein we go very deep inside our conditioning, inside understanding our deep held hidden fears. I take them through a process, and then at the end of the process, literally all the fears that are running humans as a whole, or even women as a whole, is the fear of being worthless, fear of being insignificant, fear of being unloved, fear of being lonely, and fear of losing.
Mm.
either themselves or fear of losing the loved ones. Those are
Mhm.
the top 5 fears that's literally running every woman. And just having an understanding and going deep within and letting something within speak, because the only way you can kind of transmute the trauma is not by suppressing it or not just by expressing it and dump all our emotional outbursts onto somebody. Is instead it is by a process called transmutation, wherein you sit with it, you give it the space for it to just come into the open, express itself in a very safe way, either in the coaching session or when they're alone with themselves, and then release that into a process of presence. And that's where you start tapping into so much energy that is literally stuck, because trauma and conditioning is nothing but um, deep held pockets or dense pockets of energetic contraction. That's all it
Mm.
is. And energy is using to contract something that the body feels is unsafe for it to feel a little bit expansive and relaxed. So it's continuously contracting. And anytime that trigger happens within, the body again goes into contraction. Now, I'm not safe. I can't be here. You can't be here, because the body is protecting you.
Mhm.
Body is kind of protecting us. It doesn't know that now we can handle things. It still is used to how we were handling things as a kid, and then it has still learned those, or maybe somebody went through some traumatic events in their life. The body has learned to contract and it doesn't want to let go. So in somatic and trauma healing practices, what we do is we give the safe space for the body and our nervous system to relax a bit and feel like, oh, I can be present here, even if somebody's triggering those events on me. Because
Mhm.
usually I do a lot of inquiry based practices, and then we go back to the trauma, and it has to be done in a very safe way,
Yeah.
because otherwise the body will go into more contraction. And it has to be done in layers, like one layer after the other, the
Yeah.
second layer, and it has to be done in a very, very compassionate way. And then the trauma begins to talk.
Yeah.
Its trauma begins to release. That's the deep work, which is the W, and that is just the stage two. The stage three is
That is a big
understand.
stage.
That's a big
That feels
stage.
like a big stage. How long
It's a
can that
big.
stage take? Can I be in that st it's like it depend on, like, what your the trauma you're working with or maybe the level the resistance of the person who like, whether they're ready or not to go there? Like, how long can that take?
It is so it's so weird that I say this. Within 2 or 3 sessions, it can be done.
Mm.
It can be done, because all it depends is how trusting the person is to. If the other person can trust me, and I'm the
Mhm.
coach and I'm there and I'm helping them, can you trust me? And the minute they trust, something within kind of relaxes, first of all, like, oh, this is safe. And the minute the body feels safe, it's literally a quantum shift that happens. It's not a very linear process that goes, okay, one after the other or so. It's like as soon as the body is good, one layer is gone, done.
Yeah.
And then the other layer comes up. And then the more they do, the more the body is like, oh, okay, I had been in this situation wherein I had contracted and now I'm letting go and nothing happened to me. So I can do this again and again.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
it again depends on how safe the body and how safe the
Yeah.
mind feels. That's why it's very important to work in that environment initially. I have my clients who also come from a PTSD background. A lot of PTSDs, a lot of severe problems that they went through. And it's the same process that I do, whether it's conditioning or whether it's PTSD or whether it's trauma, the current trauma that they're going through. And then the third transformational shift is action, A.W.A.K.E. So A is action. And action here does not mean an outward action at all. Action is more, what does it mean to accept yourself? Not mentally, not
Mm.
mentally at all. Because we all know, oh, I need to accept the way I am. I need to learn to let go. But are you really letting go? Are you
Yeah.
really accepting yourself? Are you really compassionate to yourself? Do you feel that when you give compassion to yourself, does your heart open? Or is it mostly here? Does your body feel relaxed? Right. So then I teach them what are the ways to tap into the acceptance, compassion, and surrendering more from both body and from the heart. So the ultimately it's keeping our heart open. And that's where the deep us, the deep we, the deeper part of our authentic self starts to communicate and starts to come out and starts to awaken and take part in our lives. Um, and then finally, it's the K-A-W-A-K-E. So K is the kindling. At this stage, now their heart is a little bit open. Then we kind of coax the heart and then kindle it and then say, what do you want? What is it that you want? And what gives you that um, inner inspiration, even if nobody recognizes what you do? Nobody is ever going to know what you're going to do, like what you're going to be doing, or writing a book. It'll never get published, or you're speaking on the stage, nobody is there to listen. Or if you're teaching somebody, and then maybe there's one person in the whole world that'll be good, that'll be your client. Will you continue to do that? Right.
Mhm.
And then the answer is like, yes, because I want to do it. I want to do gardening. I want to write a book. I want to read a book, or I want to go learn dancing. You see, that's completely different from I want to do it because somebody else thinks that this is cool,
Yeah.
or somebody else thinks this is successful. And then the final part is the E, which is engagement in life. No matter how much we learn and how much we coax our authentic self, there is a part of engagement that needs to happen. A more conscious way of being, whether it's as a conscious parent, as a conscious partner, as a conscious professional, conscious entrepreneur, conscious leader. So I touch upon those aspects as well,
Yeah.
as a 5-step transformative approach.
What I love about how you approach it, and it's, you know, one of the things I tell people is like, action is the antidote to fear. And what I love about your when you talk about taking action, it is after you've let go of things, and it is also making sure the actions are, instead of saying, I need to be kind to I need to love myself, or I need to do this. It's like, for someone who loves themselves so much, or for someone who does, what actions do they take? What, and so it's like that A is very much the being it till they see it. So it's not a shame or something that they're like forced upon themselves, but they're doing it
I
to
know.
bring, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of shame and guilt with respect to loving ourselves, with respecting to practicing things like forgiveness and gratitude.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, this doesn't happen naturally. And it has to happen naturally. You cannot force it, because gratitude, love, forgiveness, compassion, empathy is something that is the first level of expression of your consciousness, the
Mm-hmm.
deepermost level. You can't force upon it, because then if you're trying to force upon it, it's not like a fake it till you make it kind of a thing. You can't do that,
Yeah.
because these are deeper levels of your consciousness. That if you try to do something from your mind, okay, no matter what, I'm going to forgive this person. That's not what is called for.
Mm-mm.
And I think that is something that they need to know. Otherwise, what happens is, I need to be grateful for the things that I have, but you know what? I'm not feeling that way within. But I can't tell it to anybody because it's shameful, and I
Yeah.
feel guilty for feeling that way. You see, and it
You just like
becomes
what the person went on a total spiral just from saying I need to be grateful.
Yeah, yeah, it is. That's something that people really need to learn, that these qualities are not something that can be forced upon at all. It happens naturally, and
Mhm.
your role in that is to just keep yourself open.
Mm.
That's all.
Well, and that's all, and also probably the hardest things to do is to, like, be open
Yes.
to
Yeah.
receiving that, I think that's
Yeah.
where people get really scared, because it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, some people can't even receive a compliment, so let alone receive.
Yeah. They can't even receive the compliment. Yeah, because there is also some other identity that crops up and say, no, you can't be you can't be getting these things. You're not good. Like, you're an imposter. You're not even worthy of it. You see,
Mhm.
because that's probably something that they learned growing up.
Mhm.
They would have learned about this, and that's where it's coming from.
Yeah, you brought up imposter, and so, I wonder, like, how many of the women that they come to you, and they're these, like, super successful, amazing women who've done crazy things. And how many of them feel like that imposter syndrome? All of them? Some of them?
Probably most of them. Most
Yeah.
of them. It's a very common thing. It's a very common thing because as overachievers, we always try to compare ourselves. And then here we try to keep comparing ourselves with ourselves.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, that's not good. This is
Yeah.
not good. And then people are going to find out that you're fake or um, all these kinds of
Yeah.
fear-based approaches. Um, and yeah, and it's a very common. It's very common and with high achievers.
Yeah. I find
More
that
more
too.
so with high achievers than people who usually take it easy and take it more kind of laid off.
Yeah, I got into researching it for a few reasons. One, because I felt imposter syndrome, and I get all these like achievements. So I was like, "What is going on?" And I listened
Yeah,
to Seth Godin answer a question about imposter syndrome. It's like, well, if you're new to something, you are an imposter. You should feel that way if
yeah,
you are new
yeah,
to something. However, and he went off on another tangent. And then it's like, well, if I'm not new to something and yet I'm feeling like an imposter, then what does that look like? So I was doing some research with like 5 types of imposter syndrome.
I
Most of them
see.
have to do with perfectionism, or if you were considered like a genius at a young age, like
At the
if
young age.
things came really easy to you,
Yeah,
all that
yeah,
stuff. And so and there's like, you did things on your own, like you were just, I got lots of
yeah,
accolades, compliments, or even just like you had to for survival. So therefore there's these like 5 different ones, and I can't remember all of them, but one of them has to do with perfectionism, one of them has to just be everything came really easy to you when you were younger.
yeah,
And what ends up happening is like you're having imposter syndrome because you cannot, it's so hard for you to accept that what you just achieved was enough. Like that
yeah,
was really good, or that even if you did it because other people helped you, that it's still
yeah,
worthy and you're still valid. And
yeah,
it's really interesting what we, in all of our communities, we have, and now on the podcast, Fridays is Fuck Yeah Friday. You must celebrate something that happened that you did, like a win of any size. And it's so fun because the people have been in the communities for years. You start to see them, they just do it every Friday. They'll do it all week long. They'll go, I have a win on a Monday. Like they'll do it all, it took them a while, but they got there, right? And then there are some people who, like, it is so hard for them to post in that one win on a Friday
yeah.
at one time, because they're like, well, it's not good enough. Like it's not
It's not,
enough.
yeah, it's not enough. It's not, oh yeah, yeah. The
It could
most
have been
common thing.
better.
Yeah, it's not enough. And what do people think that if I post about this, it's not good enough to be posted?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, so I said, I want to share your wins because I want people to see like what a win can look like. And it could be really small. It could be
Yeah,
like, I, I asked one person this week to do this thing. Like that's a win. Like who cares what they said, yes or no? The win is that you did the thing, right? Like,
exactly.
so, and,
That's the shift. That's the shift. And I think you brought up a very important point there. The win, the definition of the success, the definition of the win needs to change.
mhm,
Because for us, the definition of success is dependent on I asked somebody, did they say yes or a no? Right? That's the definition of a success for them. And for whatever reason that person said no, it's not worthy enough to go and post it as a win because they're looking at more from a result perspective. But then the shift that needs to happen is it's a win because I tried. I asked them. I did it. The action itself needs to be your win. That's where you redefine your success.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I think that's a big shift. That's a big shift, and it's not easy for many high achievers because achievement,
Oh
the word
yeah.
achievement.
Yeah, no, I have we just had an episode come out recently where the guy asked him how he goal sets, and he said, I never set the goal that I'm going to get 3 clients. I cannot control if I'm going to get 3 clients. I can't control 3 people saying yes. I can only control the actions I can take to get
Yeah,
people to hear about
yeah,
the service I have. And that might end up being. So I can
yeah.
only control if I fix my website. I can only control if like the things that are in my control, I actually have steps I can take.
Yes,
Um,
yeah,
and it's like sounds so obvious, and yet for the high achievers out there, the overachiever, it's not. That's like they're like,
yeah.
no, the 3 clients is the goal. I have to hit this monetary number, and
No,
it's like we just don't control that. We can only control the steps we take that could potentially
exactly.
lend itself to that result.
Correct, correct, correct. And see, that doesn't motivate people,
No.
right? It's like, oh, if I set a goal, like, I need to have like 5 clients. I'll do whatever it takes to get those 5 clients. And if my motivation is not hitting those results, there's literally no motivation for me. You see,
Hmm.
that's the problem, and that's where the understanding the motivation and moving it into inspiration is needed. Because now, when you're working from a place of inspiration, whether you get 5 clients or 0 clients, it doesn't matter, because you're doing it because you love doing it. That's
Hmm.
all. You would just do it whether people pay you money or not. You would keep talking, whether is there if there is anybody to listen or not. You would just keep posting your videos because
Yeah.
that's what you have. Like, you keep singing if you're a singer, you keep dancing if you're a dancer, you keep painting if you're an artist, you see. And those are the real callings. Those are the real passion.
Yeah. And also, like, as you're saying all of that, it's like you don't have to sell the painting to be the artist, and you don't have to paint for a living to be an artist. You can actually
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
paint
It can
on
be.
because
Yeah.
you're called to,
You're
and
called
they're
to.
and the other things that you do don't have to have, like, whether or not maybe you don't want to be an accountant, but like maybe accounting provides you with the time to be the artist, and so you can, instead of like
Yes.
putting this pressure on like who am I as an accountant, it's like how can I allow my the thing that pays for the life that I want to live to do that and not stress me out, so that I can do these things over here that are the reason what I want. Is that
Yes. That's a very beautiful way that you put, because livelihood doesn't equate to your passion and purpose. It
mm,
can be the same. It can be the same. For some people, it's the same. But then what we forget is, even when people say, oh, this is my passion, this is exactly what I wanted to do, and I'm also able to earn money, your passion and purpose changes. Within 5 years, after 5 years, like, let's say you're earning, you're like literally settled today with exactly what you wanted to do. If you're holding on to the same passion and purpose, it's a suffering again for you. So
mhm.
within some time, your passion and purpose will change because you have expanded as an individual. So if you're trying to always keep your livelihood with your passion and purpose, it's again a constant struggle and burnout and overwhelm. If you can
Yeah.
keep it separate, it's like, I'm fine doing the job that I'm doing. And I'm fine doing the passion and the purpose, because again, passion and purpose, there's a misnomer that passion and purpose is something that you do. Passion and purpose is more about what flows from you no matter what you do.
Mhm.
And it's not easy to get this difference for many, because we usually, oh, I'm passionate about dancing, so I need to dance. No, you're passionate about expressing,
Yeah.
and dance is just one form of it. You can express it anywhere. For me, when I started, like, what is it that I really want to be doing in my life, and so on, then you you just go onto the internet and social media. There'll be like 10 questions. What is it that you want to do, and what did you like doing as a kid, and blah blah blah. And I wrote all of those things. None of them felt like they even close to my passion. I'm like, no, this is exactly not what I want to do. And 15 years ago, if you had asked me if coaching was something that I wanted to do, like as a kid or so, I would say no. Like, who is going to listen to somebody? I'm not that kind of a person. Like, that is who I thought I was.
Yeah.
But then for me, what came out of this whole transformation is presence, consciousness. And I love to get other people present. And I love to be present no matter what I do. So I
Yeah.
take that passion, I take that purpose into everything that I do, whether I'm teaching, whether I'm speaking, whether I'm coaching, whether I'm at my corporate work, or whether I'm at my family with my kids, with my husband, with my dog, or I'm singing. I'm also a singer. Um, then of course, it's not that it's so seamless and 100% of the time that I'm there, but that's my path.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, thank you for saying that about the even if your passion and purpose are making a livelihood right now, in
Yeah.
5 years, it's going to change. And And it may be a different timeline for some people, but you are correct, because I found myself very lucky that what I love to do very much supported me, and it supported me in bringing my husband onto the team. And then, but there was this like, that inkling of it wasn't even overwhelm. I don't, maybe it was overwhelm, but I felt that this like thing, like this isn't fulfilling the thing it used to fulfill anymore. And it's not that I wanted to
Yeah.
quit, because Brad was like, well, we could just quit. Like I always ask myself that question when I'm feeling that way. I'm like, what if I just quit? And usually that makes me go, no, I actually love this. I love this thing that I'm doing. But my purpose had changed. And
Yeah.
if similar to you, if someone had asked me 15 years ago, actually someone did, they're like, oh, do you want to run a studio? When I first started teaching, I was like, no, I don't want to do
Yeah.
that. I don't want to manage anybody. But I ended up running a studio, and then I closed that studio. Now I run, with my husband, I run 3 companies, and I never wanted to do that. But the reason I do it now is because the purpose that I have has changed, and the impact that I want to make requires this change in
This
that.
change.
But where I get my passion has become even more clear, and it can happen through this podcast, it can happen through the coaching, or it could happen when I'm walking my dogs or when I'm at the gym.
Exactly.
Like, so it's actually quite cool that, like, it's actually amazing, because if you start to think, oh, my passion and purpose and my life are the same, it's going to be really hard for you to not do them. Like, what do you do on your day off? what, what, what do you do on, like, for a hobby?
Yeah.
We have,
Yeah.
like, that becomes
Yeah.
really complicated if you have them so enmeshed and you don't see how
Yeah.
they can be outside of your livelihood.
Yeah. Imagine if your passion, purpose, and livelihood, everything is just same. And for some people, that is fine too. If you're talking to your kids, or if you're being with your kids, and somewhere you'll be like, oh, this is not my passion, or this is not my purpose. Imagine if that happens, how things are going to turn up for you as a parent.
Yeah.
So again, the passion and the purpose are, we need to shift from doing
Hmm.
passion with an action to more from a being perspective, more like a feminine perspective. It's like, what do you want to be, no matter what you do? It's like, maybe I want to express, or maybe I want to be more present, or maybe I want to heal, or like, these kinds. So it doesn't matter
Hmm.
whether you're in any kind of a relationship, whether you're in a big corporate executive having 200, 300 people, or whether you're just being with your dog or with your kids. um, that's who you are. Like, you want to heal people, you want to listen to them, you want to be present with them.
Yeah.
And then that's what is going to keep you going, no
Yeah.
matter what changes in your life.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. I adore you. I love everything you're making. My whole life makes sense to me. Thank you. This is, but also, um, I think you've given so much food for thought for everyone who is trying to make their passion a doing instead of a being. And, we're all about
Yeah.
being it until we see it here. So anything that can be being is perfect for us. Okay. Before I let you go, we're going to take a brief break, and we're going to find out people find you, work with you, learn more from you, and also your Beat action items.
Yeah, so everything is there on my website, www.sunithasandeep.com. I have a masterclass, a free 1 hour masterclass, 15-minute masterclass that talks about my Awake program. And many people have just got shifts by just watching this, and it's like, oh my God, this is who I am, or this is what I need to do, and this is the way. And so feel free to just go subscribe yourself to that and watch that masterclass. I also have a free ebook that I have on my website that talks a little bit more into my own journey as a trauma survivor. And I also have a TEDx talk that I have linked in there that you can go watch. That'll give you a little bit more um, hope, even if you've gone through any kind of a trauma, and how you can use trauma as a catalyst for your positive
Hmm.
growth. So
Hmm.
there are a few articles, and I love writing, so I write a lot of blog articles, and a very different way from the mainstream way of looking at things.
Yeah.
So it'll be a little bit contradictory what I write, but I think hopefully it touches somebody who's ready for that change.
Yeah. Love all that. Thank you for all those. We'll put those in the resources in the show notes below, so you can easily click on them. They'll also be on the website, so you can click on there. Before I let you go, bold, executable, intrinsic, targeted steps people can take to be it till they see it. What do you have for us?
Number one starts from acceptance. Period. period. Like acceptance from the mental level, acceptance from your emotional level, acceptance from your somatic level.
Mhm.
Accept and see how the world changes for you. A very, very deep acceptance. That's all.
Yeah.
Literally, that's all. Because if you can accept your pain, if you can accept your suffering, you will get into your evolution in like a quantum shift.
Yeah. And it sounds simple and complicated at the same time.
It is complicated. It is. It's not easy to do. Sounds very very simple, but again, to go through the path of acceptance is a multiple transformative shift, and acceptance leads to awakeness. You'll feel alive. You'll feel awake. You'll finally feel like you've gotten up from your sleep, and it'll lead you to many places.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your amazing words. I got so much out of this. I know those of you listening probably got some amazing nuggets. Please make sure that you share them, put them on your socials, text it to a friend, because the more of us that are understanding the difference between overwhelm and overloaded and acceptance versus what we think we're supposed to be doing and all the things you just said, the more of us who can do that, the easier it is for all of us to do it, honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
You
It just
know?
spreads. It just spreads. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
y'all, thank you for listening. Make sure you tag the Be It Pod when you share this, tag Sunitha, and let us know how this affected you in your life. And until next time, be it till you see it. That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of the Bloom Podcast Network.
It's written, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Kroll.
It is produced and edited by the Epic team at Diseño.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to Melissa Solomon for creating our visuals and Samena Velazquez for our transcriptions.
Also to Angelina Herrico for adding all the content to our website, and finally to Meredith Crowell for keeping us all on point and on time.